Anyway, go on.
So like what if and like my thought is like, there might be that one guy who is really creative in the DMs, and then you might get charmed by that one dude who was creative in the DMs, and then you're
Maybe
gone.
maybe he's a
you
poet.
know
Maybe he's a poet. Maybe he's a poet. Maybe he's good with
Maybe
them
he's a
words.
poet. Exactly. Maybe he's a poet. And then you're like, oh, yes, okay, fine. Out of the 1,000 that I ignored, I'm going to listen to you. you know?
All right, man. So,
Yeah.
as you know, I don't know if you guys seen the Netflix series, all right? I'll talk just for reference and just for context, the Senzo Meyiwa case. I think that's something that's been going on for so long. We're looking about what 6, 7 years of speculating who murdered him. Still haven't found his killer. And there's a lot of things. I mean, if you've watched the documentary, and guys, when we talk about this, is not based on facts. It's based on the observation. This is based on your own observation of the whole topic. It's not necessarily factual. So for what we talk about is just mere observation. All right. Okay. So taking into account of the story, so as you know, he got shot. So they're trying to distinguish whether this was a robbery, murder. Everything is actually, and all the evidence has been swayed away, has been, all the speculation leads to just a murder because if it was a robbery, things would have been taken. And look, as much as we're talking about the case, we're talking about the man in depth. And I think that's one thing on this platform as guys, we just need to understand is that he didn't have necessarily a squeaky clean living in terms of his lifestyle. This situation that led to his demise could have been a heavy contributor to his death in terms of his philandering, etc. So you know
Yeah. Mm.
yeah, so we'll get the ball rolling. Martin, let's start with you, Martin. Your thoughts, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So I happen to be one of the people who watched the Netflix series. And first 4 episodes actually, I haven't really gotten straight to the end as of yet. And as you said, there's a lot of speculation. I kind of get the feeling that, with all the people that came on to give their opinion, from cops to journalists to writers and to family members, someone somewhere out there got to the point of the truth. But, because, there's a lot of speculation happening all at the same time, you kind of grab and you let go. And, this theory makes sense, but then, they present a different bit of evidence later on, and, your head is kind of meshed up all together. So I think my initial thoughts would be we have a lot to talk about. And I'm assuming everybody will come to the table with, their own different opinions. Being somebody who is a Christian, and at the same time tries to have a solid worldview, like a solid view of the world itself. I would say, there's two forces at play over here. There's, the physical side of things, where you can talk about his lifestyle and, all the things that can happen as a result of his lifestyle. But, the Netflix series also didn't make, an attempt to hide from the fact that stuff does get very spiritual in both families, So to the point of bringing on healers, traditional healers, celebrity healers, which I didn't even know there were celebrity healers in our country. But, on the other hand of things, it's like, yeah, there is a spiritual element to it. I don't want to dive into immediately into that one, but, we can address both sides, and I'm pretty sure people will have their own different opinions.
All right.
Those are my opening thoughts.
All right, cool. Bo, what's up? What you saying?
Yeah, look, I haven't watched the documentary itself, but I've followed the case itself over the years, and my thing is there's a lot that has gone into this, right? There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of like, what was the motive behind this? Why were there this many people in the room? Why were these people at the house at that specific time? Whatever it is, right? Um, like there's a lot that goes into it, right? And there's a lot that says, okay, cool, yes, it fits the tick boxes for for assassination and all that, but then you have to go back and say why, what was done for it to be an assassination. How was this guy living his life for him to be taken out by whoever decided to take him out, right? And then what would be gained from taking him out, right? And from what we've seen over the years, it doesn't seem like anyone has truly gained from his death, right? It's not like someone got a 10-story mansion from him dying. It's not like his kids are living the most lavish life right now. You know, to this day, from what we see, his children are still looking for they're looking for a purpose, right? The mother of his child, I think it's actually just the one child. The mother of his child is still looking for, some kind of inheritance for the child. So clearly, nothing was gained for the child. Nothing was gained for the mother. So then, what's the motive?
All right.
A lot of the time,
Just to sorry to cut you there.
yeah.
Just to be clear, in terms of what we saw in the docu, the mom, the mother of the child, all that money went to a trust for the kids until they cannot touch it till they're 18.
Mhm.
So, and that's
Okay.
just to clarify that,
Mm.
So yeah, sorry,
Mm.
go on, my bad.
Yeah. No, I've got you. I've got you. So
Mm,
then, of course, that comes from watching the docu. Then,
yeah,
so once I've checked out the docu, then I can comment more on that.
yeah, no
But then,
stress.
even still, like it's very it's a very patchy kind of thing.
All right, cool.
There's nothing that was provided for the mother herself. And as far as I remember, these people were planning to get married. Like things were very advanced in their relationship. So for nothing to be provided for the woman who's going to marry, it's also like, you know.
All right,
So yeah, there's just a lot to consider there. As I said, in terms of like someone being killed for a certain reason, there's not enough that adds up in my perspective.
all right,
Yeah.
cool, nice one. All right, cool. Chloe, what's your thoughts?
After watching the documentary, I thought I don't know that much about the spiritual side of things. I mean, I know a bit from a different background rather than I don't know much about the healers and all of that. But I think that does play a part into it if one of the partners involved did get interested in that and bring that element in. But I do think it could just be down to relationship drama. It could be jealousy, so I just think it is a bit intriguing that they bring spirituality into it.
All
I
right,
think I think it's more down to the relationship, probably.
all right, because I was alluding to then that's what I was alluding to in terms of the whole topic is that of course there is no motive. It looks like there is no motive because no one's gaining from this man's death. But at the same tune, motive is motive. There are things called crimes of passions. There are things called crimes of passion, and you know, as much as Martin did say that, there's also a spiritual element to it, and these are the type of things that also contribute to someone getting to that extent, or going to that extreme rather, of getting someone killed. I don't know. It could be a crime of just jealousy. It could have been just anything. It's far from a beef, because I mean, I think that's one thing that we've noticed, that he didn't have beef with anybody. But as well, there's just a lot of elements behind it that got to it. Says it doesn't add up, where one guy's story is there and then it changes not so long after. It could have been a situation of a jealous rage. It also depends on who she called up on, because she called up on the producer, the producer, what's his name, Chico Twala, from,
Yeah.
yeah. But like I said,
Thought
sometimes,
that was weird.
yeah, that was a bit strange for me. So it's like,
Oh,
why would you call, like, why would you call Martin's pops and we're in the house and Martin ran out the crib and the first person you phone is Martin's dad? It's just it's weird. No one talks to Martin's dad unless you need something. So it
yeah.
also, there might not be any, material motive, or just motive where there's somebody's gaining, but also you're looking at a situation where there could have been passion involved in the situation and somebody got hurt. Because we've heard stories. There's stories that there are many. I mean, you read you read Daily Sun, you read a lot of these local papers. You hear on Twitter of crazy stories of people losing their lives where ish got real. Crimes of jealousy. That guy, the person didn't have to even benefit from the situation, you know. But yeah, feel free to add, guys. What like from taking it from there in terms of the passion sense.
I
I
think
don't know.
it
I
was
just
probably. Oh, sorry.
no, no, no. Go ahead, Chloe. No, it's cool. It's cool. Go ahead.
I think it was because it does seem very unplanned. So, like you said, it doesn't seem like there's a genuine motive. It feels like someone's feelings got the best of them, and it was just a crime of, well, maybe not passion, because I wouldn't call it passion. I'd probably call it jealousy. It's obviously to do with jealousy or something, but it doesn't seem planned. So I don't think it was an assassination or beef, because I feel like it seems way too
Mm,
random.
Yeah,
mm,
I mean, going back to
mm.
it could have been where it was just a something just went crazily wrong. Bill, what you saying, man?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. That it just doesn't have the feel of something that was planned. It doesn't feel premeditated. It's just things things are so messy. It's too messy to be an assassination. It's just like there's a lot that just doesn't come together, right?
Mm,
And at the same time, when you ask me, do I feel like it's a crime of passion? A crime of passion is even more random than that. Like a crime of passion, like we can be having an argument and then I pick up a kitchen knife and then I stab you, that's like a crime of passion, like I've just had a moment of rage and then I decided to stab you, right?
right, yeah,
And for the mere fact that like we don't even have, like, again, you guys will correct me, but we don't have Kelly with a murder weapon, fingerprints and everything, that the dude was stabbed,
true,
or
true.
he was shot with her fingerprints, whatever it is. Like there's not enough of that. There's just a lot of gray areas in this whole thing, right? And it feels random to me, but not random to the point that I can say these people were arguing and then someone decided to kill the other person.
That's true.
It feels random to the point that dudes from the street decided to do something crazy. That's how it feels to me.
I guess so. Yeah, Martin.
Yeah, can I hop off of that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go for it, man.
Yeah, yeah. I like to agree with Bo. I think, it's very random, which, if you are very passionate about finding the exact truth, will obviously frustrate the living daylights out of you because, there are multiple perspectives at play over here. Um, Part of me likes to think of it this way, just leaning towards the random side, and it being maybe not so much a crime of passion, but perhaps even a crime of pride. And we can kind of draw this back. Maybe I'm about to go a little bit deep over here, but we can kind of draw this back to some of the plights of the black man and growing up in the streets. And if it was a case of robbery, then we know that in this society, it's not so random for somebody to be or to get up on their high horse, to get drunk with drugs, or to get high on drugs, or to get drunk with alcohol, and to just do something stupid, feeling as though it would make them the man or it would put them on top of the world, whereas it would actually have the opposite consequences. So it could be a crime of pride, be it somebody in the actual house, given the fact that they were drinking and there was alcohol involved. They could have broke out into an argument, and in order to show you that I'm the man, I'm gonna pull out this gun and do this, or what the people in the house said happened. There were robbers who came into the house, drew guns on them. Somebody ran out, and in a scuffle, somebody got shot. But again, even that theory messes with me because, okay, maybe if you're from the streets, entering a house with a gun makes sense. But again, at the same time, like, it's not to the same level of entering a rich person's house. Like, what do you expect to find if you live in the same place that typically has earners within the same sort of financial range? So that theory still messes with me a bit, but at the same time, I do think ultimately it could be a crime of pride. a black man pride, to get a little bit controversial for the viewers and the listeners.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's also you get a lot of rhetoric. Actually, I've heard a few YouTube channels talk about the fact that he was unfaithful to his wife, and this somewhat was
Yeah,
kind of the straw that broke the straw that broke the camel's back in a sense. You know, yes, like you said, things do happen randomly. Things do happen, where it was just all my question was like, why clean up a crime scene? Why clean up a crime scene when after the chaos has happened? That's where your answer your basis to answers are the crime scene. So it's also like you said, it's all a mess. Yo, Bo, you look like you needed to add something. What you you look like you felt like you needed to add something.
No, no, it's not about it's not about adding something. It's just I'm taking in what everybody's saying. It's just okay. Like I fully feel what you're both saying, especially like what Martin is saying that it could definitely be a pride, a crime of like a black man's pride. And two is like, why does it have to go to the pride angle? You know, um, I'm still more inclined to this feeling that things just went haywire. Like that's just me. Like I'm still more inclined to see things went haywire. Um, I'm getting more of like, okay, cool. Like they were all in the same place and whatever, and they were having this party vibe, whatever. It just it still feels more random to me than a thing of like someone wants to prove a point because they would have known that he lives there. They would have known that this is what this man is doing. I mean, at the time, this man is, Bafana Bafana's number one. He's Orlando
yeah,
Pirates' number one goalkeeper. People knew who he was, regardless of how his house looked and what he was doing.
He's a
They knew who he
franchise.
was.
Yeah, he's a franchise.
Exactly.
yeah. It's
When you
huge.
see someone's face, you know who they
Yeah,
are. When you're chilling with them on the couch, you know who they are. You know.
Mm,
So
mm.
like this thing of like, oh geez, like I've just okay, yeah, this is Senzo Meyiwa. Okay, yeah, let me prove a point. Like not in that setting.
Yeah,
It just doesn't seem to me that it would be in that setting. The setting itself doesn't make sense to me.
yeah,
You know,
I got you.
it was a stepper from like 10 meters away, and like he got shot in the head, and then he got shot again to make sure that he was dead, and that would make more sense to me because then I know, okay, cool, a professional was paid for this, this is how it went down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that makes more sense to me. But like, if we're together,
And
it's
think
not adding up.
and think about it. Just at what you said now. The guys who are standing trial right now for his murder, right? The guys who are standing trial for his death. They are professionals at what they do. They do not mess around. They make sure you are gone. You know what I mean? Once they go in and there's a target on your head, they go for you. You know what I mean? And they make sure. I mean, they were on that. If you watched, and you don't even have to see it in that documentary. There's many documentaries on YouTube. You can go and check and research of video footage of guys losing their lives to these guys. One bullet to the back is not going to cut it for these guys in their profession. That's also another thing. They don't do it in one bullet. They do it, and whoever's in the vicinity gets it too. That's the harsh reality. So it also raises questions in that regard. Is that okay? There's two guys who are professional who cost a lot of money when they're hired to do the stuff they do, and one bullet was released from this whole situation. Nah, it was probably something that really went crazy. So yeah, man, it's just something that we needed to
but can I
touch
ask a
onto.
question about that?
Yeah.
So if we go with the things went haywire view, which again also sensible, there are multiple perspectives and most of them are sensible. What do you think went haywire? Did somebody drink too much? Did somebody say something? Relationships, because I mean, I think there were at least two couples over there, Kelly and Senzo, and the sister and the other guy. Who offended who? From if we could speculate altogether.
Well, I'm a said it out. I'll never know who offended who, but I still feel think maybe Chloe has some thoughts.
To be honest, I feel like the fact that they cleaned up, they clearly knew who did it. Who knows what the argument could have been? It could have been something to do with the relationships, a personal thing. It could have been something that was offensive to somebody, and the ego got the best of them. But we'll never know. Only the people in the room know. But when you're on drink and drugs, which they clearly had to clean up, anything can trigger somebody, even if between the
True.
deepest of family members, when there's drugs and liquor involved, anything can be a trigger. Even if you've squashed that, offence previously, 10 years later with enough drink and drugs, it's still an issue. Say the wrong thing and you touch a button. So I
Yeah.
think,
I mean, anything,
Understand.
anything can trigger you. Even having the fact that your girlfriend goes to a party with, you know, the deceased and his girlfriend, and they don't answer your calls. That could trigger a man. That's my thing. That's what I'm trying to allude to, is that things like this can trigger. I mean, if you look at situations like that, it's pretty awkward where your girlfriend is going with the guy and his homies, right? And they go to a party or a braai, and obviously he's with his girlfriend, and then they're like, every time he calls, just don't pick up his calls. It, it could trigger a man. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And on top of
Yes.
taking into a, and I'm guys, please, I'm not, like I said, it's all observation. Taking into account of who we're talking about here, is that it all roads lead to that, because especially with your track record of use of narcotic, it's you're probably in your moment at the time, and ish got real. So like, it just,
Yeah.
we could sit here and talk for years, like we could be like literally online detectives and still not get to this conclusion, because it's literally all a mess. I think everything that was supposed to be, for me, my thoughts on this, just to close, to finish on this topic specifically, I think it's that, all the things that would have led to the solving of his murder was all ruined. It was all messed up. It was all taken, it was all really, really caused, made a whole like fusion of confusion. That rhymed, but you know what I'm saying? It just caused everything to come together and just not make sense. So, and on top of it, literally, you've got seven people in the house, and then you've got zero statements that actually corroborate with one another because everyone's saying different stuff. It causes even a bigger mess. So, oh man, that's me. Any thoughts before, um, I'll take topics. I mean, it's not topics, conclusions. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Mm. Now, I mean, for me, the only thing that I'm
Yeah.
gonna say is, if you are a true professional, then when you do your job, there's nothing that needs to be cleaned up in the first place.
True.
You know. So for me, already that shows me the fact that there was even cleaning up that had to be done. For me, that's like, that's not a professional job then. Like, something was screwed up.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. That's all I need to say about that. I don't know what motives there were in the room amongst the 6, 7 people in there,
Mm.
but for me, it's not a professional job.
Yeah. For me, like, it doesn't matter. It's not what they're there for. Sorry, I keep going. I keep interjecting here, and that's if you're in a position where somebody comes into your home and attempts to rob you, and they succeed into what they're doing without hurting you, even if you have a whole lot of stuff that are not illegal, which are not legal in that home, that's not what they're there for. They're there to actually solve why you are in that position or where you are. They'll be like, what is this? It's in your home. You get what I'm saying? But I guess, for the sake of respect, they did it. But anyway, Martin, what you say, man?
I'll tell you one thing, but it's a very humorous one. I'm getting tired of these Tupac, Biggie style type murders that we can't solve and that we're probably going to be talking about for the next 50 years. I'm getting tired of them. I'll just say that.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm tired of Netflix running on these unsolved guys, bruh. Like Biggie,
Right?
Pac, come
Right?
on. It's
You know,
enough. It's
like
enough.
somebody. I mean, big ups to, well, not big ups, but I mean, some filmmaker and investigator is going to make a ton of money, just the same way they've been making tons of money from Biggie and Tupac to this day. Talking about,
Amen.
okay, we've got new evidence. Like, we know you've heard it all, but we've got some new evidence.
Yeah.
20 years down the line, Senzo Meyiwa, South African director will come through and be like, "Yo, I got new evidence," and they'll run you the footage from this current documentary, and they'll add the new evidence. But sick
Yeah.
of it, it's terrible.
Then
But
after
anyway,
that you got a whole. Then after that they find the killer. Then after that you got a O.J. Simpson trial going on, and then you you got a whole lot of stuff. Alright. Chloe, any closing
it's so
thoughts?
unfulfilling.
Sorry. Chloe, any closing thoughts on your side? What do you leave with on this one?
In terms of the documentary, obviously because I'm over here and I'm not a football fan, I heard about the case, but I didn't follow up on it. But judging the documentary, I do feel like it is just an unfortunate cash grab, I feel. Because in the sense of the way throughout the episodes, it revealed certain things. It's like, I can understand obviously you put into different perspectives, but it was just like leading just round in a circle, then a loop over there, and then so it's just, I feel like I agree in that sense that it's just a bit of a cash grab, and unfortunately probably the wrong people profiting from that.
Yeah.
So that's what I didn't quite like, and I thought was frustrating, and also how like as a South African abroad, like it's a bit of an embarrassment to like for such a public figure. Do you know what I mean? It's just like what kind of evidence collection is this? What kind of investigation and trial is this? It's just embarrassing, I would say.
Yeah, because it does paint a little bit of a rough picture in that sense. But anyway, thanks for that one, guys. Like, let's get into the nitty-gritty stuff here, and I wanted you guys' take on this one, the number 2 of our topic. This was based on the video I reacted the other day. A video of those 2 girls talking about the demands in terms of what guy they want and what type of standards that they have. All right, and this is the thing, we're talking about hypergamy, and obviously, with they're very they're entitled. They're human beings. They're very entitled to their opinion and what they want. Of course, I believe that 100%. But when you talk about hypergamy, and the financial expectations they have of men in our economy, does it add up? Right? So we're looking at women asking for a guy to supply them with 100K. Was it a day, Chloe? Or a week or a month? A day, I think. Something like that.
Yeah, it was a ridiculous amount a day or a week.
It was a day or
it was a day or a week. It wasn't even a month. It was like a day or a week.
Either way, it was freaking ridiculous. Okay, this is straight. So, guys, what's your take on that? So let's talk about about that. And please, we do have a lady on the panel, which is okay, but because she can talk about these type of things, is that we're talking about hypergamy, and like I said, does it add up? So what are your thoughts, Bo? If you want to start off on this one, does hypergamy and the financial expectations of men add up to our economy? Is it realistic, or is it a delusional thing? What's up? Tell me what's up.
It's so funny that you picked me out first. I was actually gonna pick Chloe first.
Me too.
But see, exactly. I actually wanted to hear from Chloe.
Actually, let's start. Okay, cool. Let's if you want, you could go to Chloe first. Let's hear what Chloe says.
I mean, I think it is quite unrealistic, basically.
Well, I mean, not in context to the video. I think in general context, it just in a general outlook.
In general, I feel like it probably is more on the unrealistic side. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. I don't. It depends though, because if that is your expectation, you have to know who you're going to expect that from. So to expect that in general from any man is what makes it unrealistic. If you expect that from a certain person, that is a certain criteria of person, and that is what you're after. Do you know what I mean? It's like fishing. If that's the kind of fish you're after, then fish for that fish, but don't expect the rest of the fish in the pond to be that kind of. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
I have a question. I have a question for Chloe. Chloe, would you feel comfortable in general, depending on any other person for your well-being, right? Your financial well-being, whatever it is, would you feel okay with that?
Um, I would not be okay with it because of how I was raised and just my beliefs and values. However, if it's like an agreed period of time, it's like what contextual. You know what I mean? If it's someone I don't know, they're just, oh yeah, stop, not don't know what, okay, I've just met them within weeks or 2, 3 months. Oh yes, don't work, give up your apartment, come to be with me, you don't do anything else, then I would have to, if I did that, you would have to pattern yourself differently. Like if they're giving you a substantial amount of money per week or per month, make sure you pocket half at least each time. Do you know what I mean? So it's all contextual. Like if you're gonna make those moves, make them correctly, and
Right.
you know. But in terms of if I would feel happy or accept just someone wanting to randomly after a matter of weeks cut my life and I'm dependent on them, no. But like, would you rely on your partner in a time of need? That's different. Do you know what I mean? So it depends on the context. But like I said, the reason why these things don't really work is because people don't really approach the situation properly,
Right.
and I don't even think most of the, not in all cases, but in most cases, you have to understand the why, the how, and like, as in how long, what are the expectations of on both sides, like, so it depends. To me, I feel like I wouldn't judge a girl for doing it if they do it correctly, if it's a decent or somewhat respectable scenario. Do you know what I mean? Not all scenarios are bad or, I would say, negative. Do you know what I mean? It depends on why. What is this person's intention? And how long are you gonna manage the situation in a smart way, or are you just gonna be stupid with it? So
Right.
that's my opinion.
Martin, what's up? What do you say? Hypergamy
Yeah,
and the financial expectations. And we're not looking,
yeah.
and we're not saying this in yes, the video that I posted does have context, but we're just talking in general
Mm,
because it does happen a lot in
mm,
times in society where there are these expectations. However, there are standards that we as men, and there are ladies who have their standards, which is perfectly fine, which is cool. Does it add up when you look at it from a realistic sense or a realistic point of view, especially with the demands that are made in this day and age?
yeah, well, short answer is no, it doesn't add up because look at what's happening from a South African perspective to our economy. Um, Recently released statistics, the government or whoever released the statistics about the percentage of employment in South Africa, rising to a record level of all time. And so you look at that and you look at what's happening in the economy, that is not only affected by, financial or things in the financial realm, but this is being affected by things outside of finances, things like COVID and the introduction of another variant and all the social things that are happening back and forth. And so these things will obviously affect someone's pocket. They will obviously affect the average person, the average man, the average male South African's pocket, and more than just their pocket, but when you look at even their ability to get that kind of pocket, right? So when you speak about the idea of marrying up, it's like, okay, how long does it take to actually get up though for a South African, right? Right there, I can see some agreement over there from Bo, right? So like, how long does it take to actually get up? And let's actually bring in things like the average age for a male South African to get married, which I don't actually know, but it's like, okay, if you want to marry somebody who is capable of giving you 100K, even on a monthly basis, are you aware as a young woman how long it takes to get to that earning capacity? And not only to get there, but to stay there, like to sustain your financial success, right? And some people might say, yeah, I actually am aware, and therefore that's why I'm going to target um, Uber, but somebody who's already been working for the longest time. They're owning their own company. Maybe they're somewhere in their 50s and 60s or whatever the case may be. But on the overall, you know, for complete perspective, it's like it's unrealistic.
Martin has expressed everything, right, that I wanted to express. What I want to add is it has come to such a sad point in society that the moment that you meet somebody, even as a man, you're already thinking, like, how much is this person going to set me back financially?
Mm.
You're already thinking, like, how much am I going to have to spend on this person in order for them to be more impressed with me or love me more or do whatever more? You know, what if this person is a good cook and the only way that they're actually going to cook for me is if I, buy them handbags and, buy them a car, buy them a house, whatever it is, right? Not saying that I'm not going to cook for them. I actually enjoy cooking as well, and I want to cook for you as well as a man, right? But are you only gonna give? Are you only gonna do acts of love or attention if I spend a certain amount on you, right? And then the second thing is, how do you feel as a woman? What if this man dies today and you have based everything financially on this person? You have based your education on this person. You have based the food that you eat on this person. You have based your traveling every day on this person. You have based, geez, man, something as stupid as your Netflix account. This person pays for your Netflix account, right? If this person dies today, you've lost your food, you've lost your travel money, you've lost your Netflix account, you've lost your school money, all of that because you did not prepare yourself as a person, right? You did not respect yourself as a human being. You said, I'm a woman and I need to be provided for by this person, right? My third point is I fully feel that a man should not shy away from their responsibilities and a man should respect that thing of being a leader of a household. Perfectly fine, right? But let it not be to the point that your whole worth is based on how much you're providing. Because then you're just seen as currency. You're seen as an ATM, you're seen as a bank card, and that's all that you are, right? And by the time your children come, you're going to see your children, and you're also going to see your wife as one of your children, because your wife is doing nothing to contribute to the household, you know? And again, this is a controversial thing, I mean, I don't know, like other people will say, no, maybe the woman doesn't have to contribute to the household. She's there, she's raising the kids, whatever it is. She's doing the things that make her happy, cool, whatever it is. But personally, and I think the generation that we've gotten to, I think we've gotten to a point where we believe more in partnerships, and we believe in building empires together. The man contributes to building an empire, and also the woman contributes to building an empire, right? So if the woman is just there chilling, right, it does kind of suck. It sucks. It hurts, that you're waking up like at 6 a.m. in the morning and you may not even enjoy what you're waking up for. And then you get home and then you're being shouted at because you didn't go to the kids' soccer game. You weren't present for the parents' meeting, but you were sweating the whole day just to keep this household afloat, right? And then now you're being yelled at for all these other things. You're trying, right? Just like the woman is trying, but like you're not even seeing her as a woman anymore. You're seeing her as one of your children because that's what it has become in your household.
Can I put a wrench in your
And
works,
yeah.
if I may? Right. Three things that I want to note. Right. In terms of what you said, um, the yes, there are expectations of providing the house. Martin alluded to that too. It doesn't take away that one needs to be responsible within a household, right? And
Mm,
taking into account these expectations of the woman in society that we've hear them going on social media telling us these things outright. Now, if I put a wrench in the works, you can sit there on your phone, on your Facebook or whatever, and you talk about the demand of what type of woman you want specifically, right? You're not necessarily where men will just openly say,
mm,
I don't want a woman
mm,
like so. I want a woman like this, like this. Now,
mm,
now you're
mm,
misogynist. Now you're a problem because now you're now categorizing. Because remember, I don't have a problem. A lot of times you'll hear women will say to you, and Chloe, please interject if I'm wrong. A woman will say, "You're just saying this because you're broke. I'm tired of dealing with broke men." Number one, what do we classify as broke? What level do we say broke is broke? Number
mm,
one. Number one, where do we classify broke men and where do we put them in the whole
mm.
spectrum of things? Number two, it doesn't take away the fact that a man needs to be responsible about what he does or what he has to
Yeah,
do and his duties.
yeah,
His
yeah,
duties are
yeah.
realistic. Now, part two of what you've said in terms of building in partnerships, I think the business plan is mine. We go with my business plan, right? What if it fails? Do you trust me enough for me to go with my business plan right now? You get what I'm saying? So they can't be necessarily because when you start going into the whole partnership, and I've noticed this, I've picked it up in just general conversations, and like it's not always a partnership because there's only one CEO. At the end of the day, he's the head of the house. He makes the decisions. Last number, all right? Number three, in what you also what you put down there. Number three, when man starts to feel emasculated, what you call it, isolated, and feels ripped, and this goes down to, and we'll go into it later, and we'll touch on that. Do those motions or do those things result in men cheating? Do those result in men going the other way? Because what you've just noted goes to that point. I know I'm getting a bit hot under the collar here, but like these are the things cause and effect. Sorry, Bo,
Okay,
I'm gonna
so
come back
just
to you. So I just wanted to, and I wanted to touch on those three things that you said based on what we're talking about today.
some of the women that have these expectations really don't barely, not to be offensive, but they don't have much of even a right. Like, for example, to get a high value man who is earning that kind of money, do you even know how to conversate with them? Do you even know where to find them? Do you even understand what his title and degree or master's degree may have entailed?
They move
You
differently.
know?
They move
So,
differently. Mm.
exactly. So, can you even go to a dinner and speak to his colleagues or associates and so on? So that just baffles me in itself. Second of all, in terms of I don't find it offensive if a man has his demands of his requirements. It's your preference. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Same with girls. It's just like be realistic about your expectations and be willing to obviously find someone that is going to meet your needs too. It goes both ways. So I think that's fine for everyone, but like I said, have realistic expectations. In terms of you know, men getting into relationships and feeling like their wife is a child. I agree that can be a valid feeling in some circumstances and marriages or partnerships, but that also goes back to if you want to have a certain type of man or be a housewife, be sure of what that man needs from you as a wife. Agree on, okay, I'll stay at home maybe until the children reach 7 years of age. Agree on, are you giving up work forever? Because some guys will be like, and it goes both ways. Some guys will be like, oh no, you can, yeah, when they reach about 7 years of age, you can go back to school or go to work or whatever. And then they don't want you to. So it can go both ways, and it can go both ways on the woman saying, oh yeah, when they're 5 or 7, I'll go back to work. And then they're just avoiding it. It can go both ways. But I feel like if you want you need in a relationship, have your expectations clearly checked, stick to your roles, and do it. That's the thing. Like, if you're a housewife, you're I think that is a job. If you're good, like, it's not a salary thing. Like, it's invaluable. Like, when you choose your partner, think about how you want your kids to be educated. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, educating children and, giving them those values is priceless. You can't look at a wife who stays at home and who is decent and doing those things as a second child. So you both have to have the same values. If that guy's value system is now being warped by media and, oh, I want a baddie, and, oh, I want oh, she's put on a few pounds, how are you approaching that? Are you giving her encouragement? Are you giving her a time and a schedule to attend the gym? Are you giving her the money to attend the gym? Do you know what I mean? Like, she's sacrificing not being able to go to work. Are you even facilitating her to be that person you want? Do you know what I mean? So some people are not facilitating what they want as well, and some people are not clear on what their desires are. So it goes both ways. Some wives are not doing enough, and some men are also not facilitating it, and like they lose their way in the ego of, oh yeah, I'm earning more and more now, and not valuing what a wife, or a decent wife should I say, who is, on top of the schoolwork, on top of everything, help making sure you're right. Do you know what I mean? Because these things, if you've got a good attentive wife, you should appreciate her. It's not gonna she shouldn't be there hungover the next morning while you're running around in the kitchen packing. No, those things should be on point. Do you know what I mean? So, as I said, though, some men can get in their ego and then kind of diminish it, or not value it enough. Not valuing it enough. So I think it goes both ways. Men should always remember that what a good wife and mother contributes is priceless, and also women also need to take accountability of keeping everything in check too.
Right.
So and people should also facilitate what they want. If you want her to stay a baddie and be on top of the schoolwork, make sure your schedules are aligning and facilities are in place, timing is allowed for her to go to the gym, not just be a slave. Not that I see being a good wife as being a slave, but do you understand? Some men can make it feel like being a slave, because if you're telling her, oh yeah, you're telling her exactly when she can get a coffee and when she can get the smallest handbag, not necessarily designer, then that is kind of being a bit slavish. Things should be facilitated to appreciate each other. So that's my opinion. I don't see anything wrong with being a good housewife. I don't think, and I think a man should value it. Like I said, sometimes men do at first, and then, like I said, 7-10 years down the line, when he's thinking, oh yeah, I've had a few promotions, and it's like, sometimes it's not fair on both spectrums.
Now that's what I was what I was saying, Chloe, was that, like, it becomes a problem when it's more like this lady is not contributing anything to the household. Like, the nannies are raising the kids.
Yes, that's what I agree. Because, like, in England, it's only upper middle class that do. Even middle class people may not have a nanny, because you can be very, very professional, middle class, and highly educated, and you wouldn't necessarily have a nanny. So, and my mum was a stay-at-home mum, so I understand, and, like, I understand what it is to build a career. I went to university myself, and I understand. So, like I said, both people have to have the values allowed and facilitate what they want, and agree on, like I said, how long do you stay at home? Do you go back to work? And so on. So, and like I said, I've been over there and, seen some housewives, like I said, they wake up drunk, hungover, while the man is just doing nothing but giving her beauty baths, and she's got someone bathing the child before and after work. So yeah, that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that I don't agree with, and I don't like to see, to be honest. And I can't blame a man for, I can't blame him. That's all I can say.
Not for cheating, though. Not for cheating. Martin, before you speak, don't make excuses for the cheating part.
No, I'm not making excuses. I'm not for cheating, but I mean it's in feeling like they've got a child, because that is what is happening in a way, with all due respect.
Yeah.
Fair enough, a man is not just his money, but at the same time, what your value is meant to be is contributing to the household health, well-being, and education. So if you're just drunk and hungover every other day, and you've got nannies doing absolutely everything, then yeah, you kind of are.
So
Yeah, and I mean, I will never make excuses for infidelity. I totally am against it. But I completely agree. Like, you don't want to turn into a child. And a lot of what we're getting on social media nowadays and from the world is like this idea of being a housewife is so attractive. There's a group of people on social media who are selling it as an amazing thing. Marry up, get a rich man, and obviously settle into housewife mode. And the only time you go out is trips, pictures, dates, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
It's not easy. Like, if you've got that kind of successful partner, it's not as easy. They're gonna be away on business. You're gonna have, do you know what I mean? It's not as rosy. And like I said, can some of these women even conversate and keep that person's interest long enough?
But guys, look at it this way. Look at it.
And then the other thing.
Okay.
Sorry, Mike.
No, go for it, B.
Like that, but also the fact that, like, your partner's gonna be going away, business trips, da 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 da. But then, like, when you are left behind with the kids, what are you doing? Can you even help them with their homework? First of all, do you even know your children's clothing sizes, or are you that detached? Have you been sipping martinis the whole day? You don't even know what size your son wears when he goes to school.
Do you even know what school he goes to? Do you even know what school he goes to?
Your son goes to? So I'm saying it can't even get to that point.
Yeah.
There
you go.
And in addition to that, because we're highlighting problems on the family side of things, and when it comes to the kids as well, it can't get to that point at all. But I feel like even if you do have a good grasp of knowledge on your kids and taking care of your husband, and you're all domesticated and everything, there are very few rooms you can enter if the only room you've been spending your entire life in is the house, right? So there are few women you can sit next to and chat to and have a relevant conversation, a well-informed conversation, if all you've been doing is spending your time as a housewife, right? So it's like, I'm not necessarily putting it down. I mean, personally, I was raised predominantly by women, some very hardworking women, and they stayed in the know. And some of them, of course, have grown older now, and they are housewives. We kind of put it that way. But it's not to that point where it's like they don't know what's going on in the world. They're not updated. They don't even know, like, if I go out now and I have to travel to a different country, I have to provide a B certificate, right? So it's like, it gets to a certain extreme that I really feel like is very unhealthy. And this is for the average young girl, the average young teenage girl, the average young adult girl coming up looking towards this. Do you really want to be in a position where you, like, the amount of women you can rub shoulders with is limited because you didn't choose to, invest in your gift, your craft, your talent, whatever it is you got going on, and you chose housewife sipping martinis at 2 a.m., 2 p.m. just because it's a Flipping Tuesday. So it's like, it's unhealthy.
Yeah. I think to add on to that, when it comes to the life, that type of lifestyle in terms of being a housewife, I think a lot in societies, we even have it here. And I said to Bo earlier, way back, said, a lot of times we think that we don't inherit Western culture here in SA, but it does happen where a lot of Western cultures are inherited, and you get a lot of pushback in terms of in someone's ideal world or in a lady's ideal world. I'm not saying all women are like this. If you look at some who post things, some things on post on social media, excuse me, and they want all the benefits of a housewife but do not want to do housewife duties. So that also becomes a conundrum, is where they are men, and that's to add on what we just said previously. Is that to add on is that there are men who are willing and who have the resources to fund these type of lives for women, but women still push back at the very thought that a man would need a specific thing. Rich guys, remember, men of higher value up there, they think differently. They have specific things and wants and needs because they have the resources to allow that to happen. So in that sense as well, it also applies to the woman that they want, because if a woman gives pushback to that guy who's up there, a lot of women say, oh no, broke man, that high value guy will treat you differently than the average guy will, way differently. There are things that he won't, he like. For me now, I my shorty, if she wants a Louis bag or a thing bag, I'm not there to decide what bag she wants. It's no concern of mine. You get what I'm saying? You know, for him, he can be at that point where he's like, I don't want you having Louis bag. There's even certain scenarios. Let me make it even more simpler. Out of the two guys here, tell me, okay, tell your lady or your significant other to get off social media. Totally, no interaction with social media, and just it's tough, right? It's tough because it's like, who are you to tell me? Who are you to tell me you don't want me to interact? No, you can be on LinkedIn. Sharp. You know, you can be on LinkedIn, do your thing, sharp. But it's gonna be pushback. You're gonna get pushback because you're like, no social media, because I don't want attraction. Next thing, like what I'm trying to say is, guys, is that as much as we do see that certain things that we do want ideally in relationships, we do as guys tend to get pushback on this and say, we get, how dare you want that? You need to tolerate that. Look at the scenarios we're seeing today. A guy in his own home is refusing to be recorded based on his wife's toxicity, and she's dumbing it down on him. She dumbs it down because he asked, please stop it. You know what I mean? Things like that. And this is a high value guy. This is an award winning Oscar winner, guys. You get what I'm saying? So so this whole thing of, that's why I never get it. And I hear this, guys, and trust me, when I'm on this YouTube channels, I research and I look at what people say. I look at it and I'm like, wow. And like, even if you did have a guy who's of a high value, you'd still push back on that because you want what you want. And that's why I emphasized on my previous videos that there tends to be a bit of selfishness. So when you are vetting, vet properly. Vet that woman who, you're not going to necessarily make demands which are at the utmost extreme. We're just talking about reasonable demands. You get what I'm saying? So it also does play a role, and I always look at someone, when a woman, and I'm not saying, most women will tell you ideally they want rich men, but I'm like, can you handle a rich guy that wants what he wants? He'll even tell you to the point where, if I go to Dubai, I get my just rewards when I'm in Dubai for business because you're not there. Will she understand those dynamics of him? Because there's guys who demand such. We don't we don't see them. So we need to really, it sounds like a harsh reality. It sounds like so mean, but it's such a harsh reality in terms of that. But that's why I say there needs to be a standard put. If fairly enough, I don't, like I said, I don't care what, if a woman says she wants 100K a day, that's on her. Let her choose. She's entitled to that type of thinking. It's just not realistic to me. However, if we could just put it a point where men have these things and can convey that what they want, will we get it? Will we get it without being perceived as pigs? You get me? So anyway, I digress. Anything else?
Part of what you say. Part of what you say, when it comes to the man going to Dubai and getting his just rewards, kind of having to live with that reality.
I'm not saying it's right.
Maybe
Hey, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying, hey,
no, no, no.
each to his own.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying I'm not saying it's right either.
Mm.
But I am saying we can definitely pick just a little page, or like a little sentence from the previous topic. For those of us who watched the documentary, there was part of the documentary, where Senzo's wife, his legal wife, Mandisa, I think is her name, spoke about knowing that in his rise as Orlando Pirates goalkeeper and Bafana Bafana captain, and with all the popularity that came with that, she admitted that she understood that with that level of popularity will also come attention from the opposite gender,
Hmm.
and that Senzo was a people's person, so he's all over the place, and he's chilling with her and he's chilling with her, and it's like she kind of expressed an understanding towards it while at the same time saying it bothers me though that he could potentially end up cheating on me. And so I think that's just like a little note to say, yeah, it isn't as rose-colored lenses as it sounds. Marrying somebody of the upper class, somebody who is in the 1% of society, be that an all-out business person or a soccer player or an artist or whatever. The demands that come with it are incredible, and we're not saying they're right. They're right, but we are saying that that's the reality you kind of buy yourself into going into it. So ultimately, there's plenty of things to consider more than just sitting down with your little list and ticking off what you want in a man or what you want in a woman. It's a lot to consider.
Yeah, hypergamy comes at a price. Chloe, thoughts? I like hearing the ladies' perspectives, and I don't, yeah, ever shun and say, hey, the lady. No, no. I want like hearing a lady's perspective overall from this. What do you feel? And the thing is, it comes within reason. When we have these conversations, because there's a lot of young people or young girls that listen to things like this and listen to conversations like this, as much as they are those ones who look at the Faith and Getty's of the world of get your bag. They're influencers. So it's also good that people will listen and have a perspective of what we're talking about. But anyway, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think people need to be a bit more clued up in terms of their expectations and the realities of them. Like, as much as you have your checklist, have your list of what you are prepared to do for that. And yeah, basically, I think people need to be a bit more clued up and a bit more
Mm.
um, realistic. I feel like I have seen the case on social media on these platforms where people are taking, like the man in the dark and all these different relationship gurus getting offensive. I feel like it isn't fair that if you have an expect, it's quite simple. We all know women want money, men want looks. Simple. Let's, as women, stop being so offended. Like, do you know what I mean? If you want the consistency of the money to be consistent, have your looks consistent too. Do you know what I mean? And like, I just think people should be a bit more mindful of that. How realistic are your expectations, and are you actually able to fulfill what is required for that?
No,
Just
Chloe.
that.
No, Chloe. I'm gonna lose 30 pounds when you marry me. No, put a ring on that. Then I'll go to the gym. Okay. I'm gonna do 10 push-ups for you a day when you marry me. I ain't gonna do it now. Thoughts, Bo?
That's what I was about to say. That no, 100% accurate. Men can be so superficial, right? Yo, we can be the most superficial, actually, right? I mean, we can marry a woman that we just pick up from the street at a grocery store, right? Like, just because we're that attracted to her, right?
Yeah,
But
it's good on the phone.
I there we go, because she looks good on the gram. You've seen her pictures on the gram. You've seen the filters, like, oh, damn, yes, yes.
You even filter your eyes, bro. You even filter your eyes. You're like, wow.
Mm,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
because you're already thinking to the future, like, how's she gonna look in the wedding pictures?
yeah,
So
yeah.
yes, I will admit we've got that weakness, right? But what I will say is, we also, people do go deeper, man. Please have faith in people. We do go deeper,
True.
and we do. It's not just about the looks, but like we can smell when someone is just going to be stressful in our lives. Like from the first interaction, we just know that this person is going to kill my pockets. Nope, come out, you know? Or, hey, damn, this person probably gets like 1,000 DMs per day. Nah, I'm not gonna be with this woman. No way. Now I must be stressing about why is her phone buzzing the whole day. Nah.
That
You
one
know?
is really
So,
so not fair.
Hence where it goes
Like,
back.
you see, that's an excuse.
Let's
That
talk about
that
it.
one,
Why is that fair?
I really do.
But it hence
That
goes
one's so
it goes but this
so
goes
you're
back to
not
my
gonna
point.
make an effort based on other people
But this
when
goes
what
back.
you're above. No, that is just so wrong.
By the way, by the
no, it's
way,
not that I'm not gonna
That's
make an
blocking your
effort.
own blessing as well,
I
many
It's not
times.
that I'm not gonna make an effort, but like,
no, but think about it, Bo. I don't blame
it's
you.
not
This,
comfortable, man. It doesn't feel nice because, like, I know there are dudes jumping in your DMs the whole day,
but that goes back to my
you know,
point. That
and
goes back
like,
to my point of not having social media, right? Anyway, go on.
so like, what if and like my thought is like, there might be that one guy who is really creative in the DMs, and then you might get charmed by that one dude who was creative in the DMs, and then you're
Maybe,
gone.
maybe he's a
you
poet.
know,
Maybe he's a poet. Maybe he's a poet. Maybe he's good with
maybe
them
he's a
words.
poet, exactly. Maybe he's a poet, and then you're like, oh yes, okay, fine. Out of the 1,000 that I ignored, I'm gonna listen to you. you know, I'm here for you.
That's right.
Done.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So it's not a comfortable thing. The same way for a woman, if your man is getting 1,000 DMs the whole day, you're also gonna be like, but this is not nice
Ow,
though.
ow,
We're
ow.
trying to have a picnic date, and then this man's phone is just going bzz, 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 bzz. Like, it's not fun. You're not gonna enjoy your
But
picnic
what's likely
because
that
your
to
man's phone is
happen?
going,
Sorry, yeah,
exactly.
go on.
And even if exactly, like, even if you're not an insecure person, it's still not gonna be fun because you're not gonna enjoy your picnic because your man's phone is going zzz, 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 throughout the whole picnic.
Yeah.
You're busy saying you're busy saying deep stuff to each other. Oh, baby, I'm thinking about the mansion that we're gonna have.
But let me
The
add
only
to it.
reason that they get the DMs is, are they interested in the DMs?
No, but that's but that
You
that's
have to figure that out.
but that's
You're
what.
having such a nice chat about the
Yeah.
mansion that you guys are gonna build, and then
Yeah.
Like,
It's flowing. It was flowing. It was flowing, and I got a few sentences in, and then it just started flowing.
here's the thing. I must agree with must disagree with you, Bo. In certain instances, you said something about the man's urge and no, not man's urge, rather man's desire for women on the physicalities there. I don't think necessarily it's a weakness, man. Um, Number one, it's part of our nature. You know what I mean? We're visual, and you've heard it so many times. You've heard blah blah, visual creatures, sharp. Okay, we get it. And I don't think necessarily it's a weakness because taking into account most, if you look at go onto Instagram now, and the way in which a woman presents herself on the gram, I highly doubt that because remember the beauty industry is huge, bro. The beauty industry is huge, and beauty is for a reason. Your body, and your beauty sells. So obviously it's for a reason to attract men. Hence why you get the DMs. You know what I mean? It's just if anything between the three of us guys here, and please correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm not. You are a married man, Bo. So I'm just putting this here. I'm just making this clear. Is that you don't get DMs on a regular 100 girls calling, "Hey, what's up? How you doing? Let me take you for some coffee." It's the ladies who are most likely to be in those scenarios where there's 100 guys. You post one good looking picture, guys will just like constantly comments, likes, following. You know what I mean? DMing. It goes on. I mean, ask a wild percentage of women and they'll tell you guys forever DM them. You know what I mean? And in that scenario, I don't think it necessarily a situation where it's a weakness. It's just part of how society has. It's been like this for centuries, even before our births, before our parents' births. Beauty's always been a thing for women, and it's for the visual of men. If you go to villages in rural villages, excuse me. men will note, they'll look at the beauty, but they'll also look and see that the woman that they've chosen, it's more of an arranged scenario, so she understands the assignment. Regardless, yes, she's beautiful, but she also understands the assignment. So that's also another thing to take into account. So I think that's where I disagree with you in the sense of saying it's a weakness, my brother. It's just more of how nature is operated.
Can I jump on his behalf, or maybe
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
come
sure.
along to
Sure,
yeah.
sure, sure.
I think, I mean, I agree with both of you, and I see both of your perspectives. I think beauty has, its uses. I do think, it's useful in our society, given the fact that God gave us eyes and minds that are visual. It has its place. But I think what maybe Bo might have been alluding to with it being a weakness is the fact that when we take something that was only meant to be a supplement to the overall person and we make it the main attraction, then we have an issue, Big Bear. It's like, okay, yeah, the beauty was supposed to be a supplement. It's
Mhm.
supposed to be the thing that says, hey, come in. I'm an approachable person. I'm a lovely person. I'm great at everything. And once you come in, you get to find out, oh, I'm smart. Oh, I know a few things, and I can actually hold a decent conversation, or I can actually hold a house on my shoulders.
Mm.
It's supposed to be a supplement. But we live in a society, unfortunately, that has made it the main attraction. And it's like, beyond that point, what else are you expecting? Because then you're just being greedy. You got the beautiful girl, that's it. Like, it's to the point where if I got into a relationship, and I know I'm probably exaggerating, and say Big Bear and Bo are my friend, they're my brothers, and I'm in a relationship with this beautiful girl. But then I come to y'all and I'm just like, man, this girl is giving me trouble, man. She can't even cook, she can't even do this, she can't even be a decent person. 8 times out of 10, y'all respond, bro, what you complaining about? She's beautiful, right?
Gross.
Right? She's
Exactly.
gorgeous. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Mm,
yeah,
mm,
yeah, she's not a decent person and all that stuff. But why are you catching feelings, bro? You got what you want, and that's it. So it's like, when it becomes the
mm,
main thing, yeah,
mm,
then it's a
mm,
weakness.
Does
mm,
that mean
So
mm.
does that mean does that mean that it's our responsibility, or should men take more responsibility in vetting women more properly? Is that
yes,
yeah?
yes, men should take more responsibility in vetting women properly,
Mm.
but it will never be a one-sided thing.
Yeah.
Let's go back to why beauty became the main attraction and just women followed suit. Beauty became the main attraction because we live in a society, or we live in an industry that hypersexualizes pretty much everything.
Absolutely.
And so, unfortunately, black boy, white boy, Asian boy, whoever you are as a man in the world, at least by the age of 12, or by a very young age, you would have seen a woman naked via pornography or any other media, right? So
Mm.
basically, before you turn 18, your perspective of what a woman looks like, your preferences, have already been forced upon you. Like, you didn't get the chance to make up your mind about what a desirable woman looks like. Pornography gave you that stuff. The movies you're watching gave you that stuff. The magazine said, okay, this is what a woman looks like. Right? So
Sorry, can I
it's not all about
interject? Any
go on.
society you are in gives you that information, period, even before technology. It's about it's about the society. Now our society includes different platforms, and now I feel like at a younger age people are actually more able to pursue their own opinion of it
Mm.
than before. Whereas
Mm,
before,
No,
all you have is your local area. So
mm.
it's a
no,
double-edged sword. I don't think
One
it's the
more.
problem of the media. The fact is, your society, whatever that includes, impresses upon you in a information technology society, and a postmodern society. We're able, at a younger age, maybe to actually make more choices on our own. In fact, with the technology. So
I think I get what you're saying. Sorry, Martin. Sorry to cut you there. I think what you're trying to say is that in our society, you've always been programmed to see or perceive beauty in a certain way. For example, when I was in school, light skinned dudes were in. All right, let's be to be light skinned, you are whether you're a light skinned girl, light skinned, you were just desirable. You get what I'm saying? So for you to be a dark skinned big guy, it was unheard of to be with the beauty. It's just the standards, I guess, which is around you.
I feel like Martin is going deeper than that.
I don't know.
Martin is
Continue. Yeah,
Martin is
Martin, please. Yeah,
Martin is
continue.
saying it's the looks plus more than that,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's what it's supposed to be. Like
Mm,
your looks are actually meant to be a bonus. They're not meant to be everything, you know?
Mm,
So what he was saying where your friends are like saying to you, why are you complaining? What's the deal? Your wife is gorgeous though. Like, what's the deal? Why are you crying? You know?
mm,
Like the crux of the matter of what he's saying is it's not just about your wife being gorgeous.
mm,
You
mm,
want your
mm.
wife to be, more than that.
On
It was
top
his
of.
You
fault. He should have found that out before we got married.
So what comes out of mouth?
After he's married, I'm like, I would be saying, what is your problem? You chose to marry that person. You didn't
but
do the due diligence.
some people are really good at faking it till they make it, Chloe.
Well, you
So
should have used a bit more discernment. You should have got more evidence.
Let's hear you.
Okay, so again, I hear what both Chloe and Bo are saying. It wasn't the full answer though. I agree. Whatever your context is, wherever you grow up, society will inform you what does a desirable man look like? What does a desirable woman look like? What do they do? But again, I'm taking it deeper in the sense that society letting you know, hey, there's your dad. This is what he does. This is the type of man you should look out for versus social media or the internet saying, no, 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 we're not even going to tell you what they do, what kind of job they work. We're going to get them to take their clothes off and let you decide. Those are two different realities, y'all. It's like, yeah, we both informing each other over here. But one is telling me what they do, and I'm actually seeing this person. I actually have access to them. I can actually talk to them and ask them, yo, how did you actually get to this point? How did you actually get to that point? As a young man, I can seek mentorship from the fellow men in my neighborhood. These are realistic people
Mm.
versus, a Photoshop model who is naked, who I can't even talk to. It's like, yo, that communicates two different messages to my brain ultimately. And so to answer the actual question, which was, do we have to take care of how we vet these women? Yes, we do. But it's not just a one-sided thing. We also have to go back to the root and ask ourselves, hey, these women that I'm trying to vet or these women that I want, where does the desire for them actually come from? Does it even come from a healthy place? And to some point, I mean,
Mm.
I'm a teacher, I work with youngsters, and at some point, I've had to ask the boys that I'm working with, is the woman you're looking for even realistic, like on a physical platform? Or is that somebody you saw on Pornhub? Like, let's be real. Do they exist? Like, this woman who has,
Yeah.
I'm going to go deep. I'm cool, right? This woman who has breasts that are pointing up and has a flat stomach and has no stretch marks and she's got beautiful hair all the time. Does she even exist? Because if we do our research, we'll find that she's like 1%, and maybe she's not even in your immediate environment. Maybe she's not even in Gauteng, like as we speak.
Probably not even in the country.
Right?
Damn it.
She's not even in the country.
Yeah.
She's somewhere in the USA or in Russia or something. So that stuff is like, yo, let's go back to the root of things. She's from Colombia. She's Brazilian. Let's go back to the root of things.
Yeah.
And of course, that will help us, decide, okay, I'm out here targeting this girl with 16K followers on Instagram because she looks this way. But where do my desires actually come from? Is this something my mom would approve of?
Mm.
Like, at least from what they taught me? Or is this something the internet would be like, you know what? The next time you post an Instagram photo with this girl, oh yeah, you're gonna trend for days, for days, for days. So come on, y'all.
I get what you're saying, and just to add on to that, it's something that I heard on from another YouTuber. Um,
Mm.
he said that's why you get, and this adds to what Chloe said. Chloe said you should have discernment and you should know what's up, right? And I agree totally. And this is one thing that he said that really, really caught my ear because I was just listening, minding my business. And he said that when it comes to that honeymoon phase, right? That so-called honeymoon phase. The honeymoon phase is the most at the point where you get the most cooperation from a lady. For those 3 to 6 months is when you get the most. Remember, men, he said something. He said, men, we are attracted to cooperation. And which is true because you get that. You get the first 3 months, you get cooperation for days. And this is by sheer just experience, you know what I mean? And now that that time fades away, or that honeymoon phase tends to kind of slow down a bit and reality starts kicking, then you start to realize, okay, this is not what I signed up for. You understand? And where is this going? But sometimes, and you know what happens? Men still also still get stuck in those situations, regardless of whether the person is being an utter monster to them. You know what I mean? Men will particularly always look for that cooperation point all the time. As long as you're still in that relationship, you will still look for that cooperation point, e.g., the honeymoon phase. You'll want it. And you still have hope that this person still has that in her. But nothing's happening. Look at Will. Look at Will Smith. Will Smith is looking for utmost cooperation till this day. No matter how much she treats him so badly, so poorly, he's still looking and hoping that this woman will give him the most cooperation. But he's not getting it. You see, you get what I'm saying here.
That's a whole other podcast, by the way.
But anyway, yeah, like I digress. But yeah.
Two things. I'm here for two things.
Good.
I'm here for two things. Number one, the Will thing is an example of two people who wanted very different things, trying to combine the very different things that they wanted, right?
Okay.
Will Smith wanted a family structure with a wife, kids, picket fence, da, 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 whatever it is. And then he tried to combine with a woman who wanted freedom, wanted to have a partner with no label, and she wanted to have children also without a label, whether they are homosexual, heterosexual, pansexual, whatever it is. She did not even want to label her children, whatever they are, right? Now, this is, as I say, this is an example of two people trying to combine two very different ideologies, right? And trying to make it work, okay? And now what we are seeing is, what is it now? 20, 25 years of compromise. Now it's boiling over in front of us, and we are seeing that, that yes, exactly. It's exploding because you can only compromise ideals for so long. If you're not evolving with your ideals, then eventually it's going to explode. So now it's exploding. Will Smith, the family man, bravado, I want to protect my wife, I want to be this man, is now exploding against Jada, who's very spiritual, go with the flow, I have no labels, I'm not a wife, I'm not a mother, I'm not a human being, I'm not anything, whatever she is, So now it's like, it's exploding now against each other, right? So that's the first thing. So we can't even compare ourselves to those two because they are such different people, and like we don't even know if she's over Tupac. Secondly, right? And then the second that I'm getting to is like I'm coming from a married man angle. Wink, thanks.
There we go.
Like this thing of like vetting and whatever, it really is both sides. If you
Very true.
don't measure up to what your baddie wants, or whatever she is, if you don't measure up, she's not gonna continue with you. The same way, if this lady is not your taste, you're not gonna continue with her either, right? So like we both do a certain amount of vetting. So if my vetting is not enough, her vetting is definitely gonna be enough. she's gonna judge my wallet, she's gonna judge my net worth, you know, and then she's gonna decide if I'm gonna keep her life going, right? The same way I'm gonna be like, hey, can I present this woman to my mom? Can I present this woman to my friends? Are my friends gonna say, hey, 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 this one, I know the first chance she gets, she's gonna jump on my D instead of your D. Yeah, as much as you think, as much as we can say, oh, the man didn't do enough vetting, someone did do enough. Someone did do some kind of vetting though in this relationship, you know. So we can blame the man, we can blame the woman, but whoever had a shortage of vetting, the other one did vet enough,
Mm.
and they decided, I'm going to keep going with this person. I think this person's wallet is enough for me, or I think this person's values are enough for me, and I'm going to keep going with this person, you know,
Mm.
and that's that,
Mm.
So
Okay.
whoever's vetting like had a shortage doesn't matter because the other person did the vetting that they needed to do.
Martin?
Ultimately, and this is just the last thought, you've got to be fully informed. I think that's a big part of what we're saying is you've got to be fully informed, and that's really just been in line with the conversation from the very beginning,
Mm.
where we started off with a conversation or a topic where we weren't so fully informed about the Senzo Meyiwa case, but as far as hypergamy is concerned, and vetting and mentoring, you've got to be fully informed. And it involves more than just knowing what's happening in the present realm. It really, like, I, I'm honest in saying, I've learned it the hard way as a young man. You can't just go off what you see in the current moment. Neither can you just go off what you project for the future, for the next 6 months, for the next year, for the next 10 years. You got to go back even before that and be like, yeah, where does this person actually come from? And I may not be talking about how many relationships has she been in or whatnot, but it's like she's got certain mindsets or he's got certain mindsets. Where do those come from?
Mm.
Do they come from a healthy place?
Mm.
And mind you, if we're gonna go the long run with it, that same mindset is gonna be transferred to little Junior that's coming up 10 years.
Ooh, jeez.
Right. So do I want to carry that 50 years of family trauma with me? Right? Even if of course, they've come up with a mindset that seems like it's working for them.
Mm.
I'll share just one analogy, just to tie all of that up together.
Mm.
As far as um, mindsets, where they come from, are they actually right? So I'm a person who loves film. I'm into film study, and I'm into storytelling as well. And there's this, I'll call it a trope, but I'll also call it a tool of writing that the writers and the authors tend to use, and it's called the lie. The lie, just plain simple, the lie. And if you look at every single movie, you will notice that the lie shows up in almost every single movie where there's a main character who does something and overcomes something. So, just to explain it short,
Mm.
the lie is something that your main character believes about themselves, about other people, or about the world that isn't true, but they've convinced themselves that it's true, and they have built a world around that lie. So when we come into the movie, that person may be living off of a strength. Like the lie can produce strengths, or the lie can produce weaknesses.
Mm.
But even if it's a strength, or it looks beautiful and looks great, and they made the best of their lie, ultimately what will stop them from getting their ultimate goal, from getting their, let me say, happily ever after, is that exact lie.
Mm.
So very often they will end up facing that lie in order to get to their end goal. And the lie is so powerful, by the way, that it's even more stronger than the villain. I mean, you guys have probably everybody's watched The Lion King. You all know The
Mm.
Lion King.
Mm.
Simba, the little lion,
Mm.
lives under the lie that I am the reason why Mufasa is
It's
dead.
dead, yeah.
And it isn't until he overcomes that lie that he can actually face up against and destroy Scar. If he doesn't overcome the lie, Scar remains king. So I feel like we're living in a similar environment where it's like people are building their stuff after. Like it's like, yo, sometimes you gotta really look at things and be like, yo, I know this is working for you right now. Like I know you talking to people however you want to is working for you. But is that actually true? And where does it come from?
Mm.
That's where I leave it.
All right. Cool. Thank you. Chloe, any last thoughts before we close up?
He summed it up really, to be fair.
Yeah, I think he spoke for all of us here. A lie. Bo, what you saying, man?
Man, peeps, one thing I will say is I agree wholeheartedly with both of you. There are a lot of points where we align so much, you know. Um, there have been things where things got a bit shaky. But like for the most part, I think the most important thing is to remember that people are individuals, and the way that we react to individuals is never going to be the same.
Mm,
The way Chloe reacts to a certain individual is not going to be the way that I react to that individual. The way that Martin reacts to an individual is not going to be the way that I will react to an individual. The same way with Big Bear, he may be attracted to an individual, someone else won't be attracted to that individual, right?
mm,
Um, Lived experience is something that we need to respect so much, right? We will never have the same lived experience, you
mm,
know.
mm.
So one thing that I want to just like highlight is um, we must just respect our own journeys, you know, and just try by all means to, look a little deeper than you see on the street, because you never know what kind of impact a person is going to make. You know, you may think someone is going to be a slay queen and they're going to mess up your whole wallet, but they may actually be someone who changes your life for the better, you know.
Mm.
Likewise, you may think someone is a broke boy and they're never going to elevate, but they may actually change your life for the next 20, 30, 40 years, you know?
Yeah,
So just all goes back to that thing of don't judge a book by its cover. There's so much more to life and there's so much more to people than we think, you know?
nice one.
Those are
Nice
my
one.
words.
Nice one. Wow, thank you guys. Yeah, I think that's definitely what it is. I think Martin, you summed it all for all of us right there. And yeah, man, you look into certain things and take into account how one's been raised, upbringing, all these type of things.
Yeah,
It's is easier said than done, but like I said to you on our last conversation, is look at how she treats her people. Look at how she treats her own mom. So look
true.
at the people within her
I
inner
remember that. Yeah.
circles, within the inner circles, and always take that into cognizance. You know, those are the type of dynamics that we look into. But absolutely, I think yeah, there's a lot to learn from this, but it's quite telling. But yeah, guys. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for the session. Thank you for taking time out of your Easter, guys. By the way, happy Easter and
Yes.
blessings to you.
Happy Easter, everyone.
All right. Have a good night.
Yes. Happy Easter,
See you
everyone. Yeah.
guys. Take care.
Take care.